guys, it's Kirsten, and today's topic I picked for two reasons. The first one is it's something I'm dealing with right now anyways, so it's already on the forefront of my mind, but also because I'm having technical difficulties with my computer right now, and my hard drive is almost full, and I can't get it to process the video that I had previously shot for a different topic on my DSLR, because the files are too big, so I'm working on that right now. That one will be uploaded later, and today we're doing it old school style, and I'm filming this on my iPhone like I used to. So apologies if I'm looking all over the place because I can never remember where to look. And also if the lighting changes a little bit, you know, there's a whole like autofocus thing going on. So if I move too much, it's probably gonna affect the white balance, but we're gonna do our best. It's fine. There's always a solution, even if it's not what we thought it was gonna be. But today's video, we are gonna be talking, a little bit about physical health, and I'm probably going to do multiple videos talking about different aspects of physical health, but today I want to talk specifically about how people, myself included, have a tendency to kind of ignore signs or warning signs or things that our bodies are trying to tell us, oftentimes in conjunction with work or with life in general, but a lot of times in conjunction with work. And the reason this was kind of like on my mind is because yesterday I got to see a doctor for like a checkup, like for a physical for the first time in almost 2 years. I'm on a new insurance now because I have a better job now, so I can afford a better insurance. And so I was actually able to see a new primary care provider for the first time in 2 years. And while we were there, a few things happened. The first one is they take your height and your weight, and it was made very apparent to me because I don't weigh myself at home ever. I don't think I have a scale. That I'd gained about 20, 25 pounds in the last 2 to 3 years. And I know that's from lifestyle choices. The last thing that happened was when she asked me if I had any concerns or problems happening right now that I wanted to talk to her about, I realized I had an extensive list of things that I was concerned about that I wanted her opinion on. And then after that appointment was done, I realized there was even more that I didn't even bring up because I was already talking about 10 million other things. And I think everything that I have concerns about in terms of my health, like my physical health, this is not even touching mental health, this is purely my physical health, are all things I've worried about on an individual basis. But it wasn't until I had to kind of present all of them to someone like at a single time that I realized like how high that pile of like issues was that I've been struggling with. And it made me really aware of the fact that I know I haven't been taking care of myself. And I'm wondering, it was one of those things where it should have been a very simple, like, why am I doing this? Because the reality is, like, bodies are simple in the sense that when something is wrong, there's a reaction to it. Like, the body's system is built to be like, if there's something going on, you get a reaction to it. And if it's a negative thing, it tells you. If something is hurting you, you get a sense of pain or discomfort. If you're hungry, your body tells you. If you're thirsty, your body tells you. If you're tired, your body tells you. Like, every single time you're doing something that isn't good for your body, it tells you. And yet, me, along with tons and tons and tons of other people, are still doing the behaviors despite what our bodies are telling us. And I was like, why? This, like, it should be so simple that we just don't do those things. Like, we do the things that are healthy, but we don't. And I wanted to kind of like talk about that a little bit more, partially because I think it's something worth talking about for people to think about, but honestly kind of because I was still working through the reasonings. Even like when I was about to sit down and do this, I was like, I don't think I entirely know why, but I have some suspicions. So the thing that kind of came up in my mind is something that I feel like has been coming up a lot lately. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this before. There's been articles about it. It's all over the place, where how we kind of have a current society and a generation that like really idealizes this overworking yourself mentality, and then kind of masking it as hustling. Like, you have a side hustle or you hustle extra hard because you know you're a hard worker, and it's like it's how you prove yourself as someone who's successful, or as someone who's worthy of the job that you have, or worthy of a promotion or anything like that, where people are going so above and beyond that it's honestly having negative effects that we are learning to overlook in order to mask it as just a hardcore work ethic. And I feel like what's been happening is, over the years, like, our baseline for how hard a person should theoretically have to work has just been pushed higher and higher and higher, to the point where people who are already doing, 40 hours a week plus everything else that we have to take care of in our adult life is no longer enough. Like, that is just you doing the bare minimum, when there was a point when 40 hours a week was what we were expected to work, because we do have families and lives and other obligations besides just work. But instead, we've pushed it a little bit more each time where we have to like work extra hard in order to just prove like a baseline. And I know I've been guilty of doing this, and I know other people are guilty of doing this as well. It's definitely one of those things you kind of get caught up in because there's a sense of competition. There's a sense of I'm not going to succeed because there's so much competition and these people work so much harder than me. And so it kind of tricks you into thinking like, not only do you have to work a million times harder than people may have had to in the past, possibly, not throwing any digs at anyone, but that is like, I mean, the reality is the mentality has changed. But on top of that, you feel like you're failing if you don't do it. And so I think we have a tendency to start to ignore the little things. Like we start to ignore the fact that we might be drinking 7 cups of coffee a day, which is not good. We might start to ignore the fact that it used to be 1 or 2 nights a week that you were only getting 4 hours of sleep, and now it's every night you're only getting 4 hours of sleep. Or it used to be you had time to get up and work out before work, or you had the energy to after, and now you just don't work out at all because you have to get up early and work, do your second job, or stay late at the office or whatever. Like you have to do all these things, and your body starts to tell you things when you're not taking care of it. You might start to notice that you're really, really tired all the time, or that, you know, your back hurts all the time, or your knees hurt all the time, or you have headaches all the time, or you're just constantly, you know, drowsy or like whatever. Like you might notice all these little things that we just figure is part of the job. Like I can't tell you how many people I know who you ask them how they're doing and the response is, oh, I'm okay, just tired, because we're just tired all the time. Or like how many people have headaches like every single day. Like we probably shouldn't have headaches every single day. Like there's probably something wrong. It's probably you're not getting enough sleep, or you're stressed, or you're dehydrated, and you're just used to it. I feel like a lot of people are just used to these minor discomforts and these minor inconveniences that we don't even address them as a problem anymore. But if there wasn't something wrong, your body wouldn't be having a reaction to it. And I think it's one of those things that it actually takes effort to think about what's wrong and to take steps for self-care, to kind of like make changes to it, because once it becomes a part of your daily life, like something that you can write off as not that big of a deal, that's the minute your brain forgets about it. Like the minute that you allow yourself to be accustomed to no sleep and to all coffee all the time, like that's just part of your life. And so even though your head hurts and your stomach hurts and you can't remember anything because you're exhausted, you're just like, it's just part of work. It happens every day. I'm used to it by now. That's not good. And I will fully admit, I feel like a huge hypocrite talking about a lot of this stuff because I just told you that I have like a laundry list of health issues, and they're not good. Like as a history, like a little brief history on me, like if you watch this channel you probably know by now, I'm an artist, I'm an illustrator. I've been taking it seriously as like a potential career option for about 15 years now. Like in high school is when I realized I really wanted to do it full time, and then sometime in college was when a lot of the really bad habits started. I got really into drinking coffee all the time because of my procrastination. I would pull a lot of all-nighters, wait till the last minute, so a lot of coffee came in at those times. And then also because I would wait until the last minute to do these really big projects instead of being able to space my work out like over a course of days or weeks, I would sit and I would draw for 12 hours straight without taking breaks except to go to the bathroom. Like, and at the time, I was almost proud of that because I was like, it was something you could brag about. Like, I drew for 12 hours straight and like, look what I pulled off. Like, this thing came out so good. And it was like a thing you could be proud of. But the reality is, even then, like my body was telling me to take it easy and I didn't listen to it. Like I would draw until my hand would cramp and like I couldn't straighten my hands out. Like I would just be like this because I would just like push my hand and push my wrist and keep pushing myself, thinking like it proved that I was a good student because like look how much work I put into this thing. And it's like, no, like you could have just like time managed better and still done the same amount of work without like damaging yourself. And unfortunately those bad habits really carried on into adulthood. Like I got like, even now, like I don't time manage well. I'm not great at prioritization. So even when I have like deadlines for clients or for projects or for shows, I will wait until the last minute and then work for hours and hours and hours until my hand hurts and I'm not sleeping and I'm eating like total junk. Like I mentioned, I wasn't making, and I'm still not making time to do the things that I need to do that my body is telling me like it's time to make some kind of change about this, because I just like the reality is I feel like sick or tired or in pain almost every single day, like almost every single day. I'm exhausted. My memory is terrible. Like I've noticed over the last couple of years, like I always have at least one planner and like two calendars. Because if someone tells me something and I don't write it down immediately, I will forget it. Like I cannot remember important stuff very well at all. Um, I have constant reminders going off. Like my neck and back are constantly in pain. I already have a little bit of a hunch going on right here from constantly bending over my work. My lower back has a lot of compression issues because I'm sitting all the time and I don't get up and stretch. And so when I stand up, it cracks and it hurts and I can't stand up straight at first. I kind of do this like little limp thing when I stand up. I have stress caused eczema. Like I have a patch of it on the back of my neck. It's like it's been there for about a year now, and it's just whenever I'm extra stressed out, it flares up and it's like under my hair. But I have like this permanent stress induced eczema on the back of my head. A few years ago, I got sent to the ER with gastritis that was caused by too much coffee and too much stress. Gastritis is when the inside lining of your stomach gets inflamed. And on top of that, I hadn't had water in like 3 days and I hadn't been sleeping. And so I essentially passed out and I had to go to the ER and they kept me there for a while to recover from that. And I had to be on medication, like long-term medication after that for a while. And then, you know, I have headaches all the time because I drink coffee all the time and I don't sleep and I don't drink enough water. I know I don't. It's just I don't think about it because I'm constantly like I plan my day around work and then or about like obligations that I give to other people because I don't say no to anybody, and then I pack my day so full that I don't think about things like stopping and cooking good meals or stopping and walking the dog or getting exercise or getting out of my seat. It's just like, what do I have to do for work today? And so like I have all of those issues, and then like I'm sure people are not surprised that I'm going to talk about this. The number one problem I've caused for myself is in my drawing hand, like my wrist and my arm. So I've mentioned this before on Instagram quite a few times. Starting back in college, I started getting really regular hand pain, like kind of in my wrists. And so back then I had better insurance through my parents, and I went to a sports therapist, and he told me I was showing signs of repetitive stress injury, tendonitis basically. And so I started getting cortisone shots back in college, back when I was like 21. I started getting cortisone shots, and I got those for a while until I had to stop because it's not a long-term solution. You can't do cortisone forever. And so I was supposed to, you know, take care to take breaks and to stretch and to make sure I wasn't overworking my hand. And I didn't do that because I constantly felt like I had to just I constantly felt like I had to put myself in positions where I had to be drawing all the time, and then I would make it worse by procrastinating on those jobs that I gave to myself. And I would just draw for hours and hours and hours, and I wouldn't stop and I wouldn't stretch. And even now, when I get caught up in work, I don't stop and I don't always stretch. And it started to get worse. So it now stretches all the way through my hand when and my arm. When it flares up, like if I draw for more than a few hours now, my fingers cramp up. I have trouble bending my fingers. The pain extends from here all the way up until my elbow. And a lot of times, if I push it really, really, really hard, I'll get this inflammation all up in here. So it'll get really inflamed. And then on top of that, earlier this year, I started getting symptoms of potential carpal tunnel, which is even worse. I had done a really big project, and I'd noticed I'd been getting this weird numbness and tingling in my hand, which numbness and tingling, it could be a pinched nerve, but it is also oftentimes a symptom of developing carpal tunnel. And this finger in my hand went numb and tingly, and it stayed like that for a week. And then I finally got feeling back in it, and then a month later it happened again because I had work I had to do. And that's not good. I'm 27. I'm planning on drawing for the rest of my life. I don't have a retirement fund. I'm a freelance contractor. I have to make enough money to pay for myself for the rest of my life. And I'm already causing debilitating damage to the one thing that makes me money. Like, this is not good. Like, I'm listing all of these things because they're all things I could have prevented if I had just listened to myself. But instead, I felt like I'll be honest, like, I absolutely felt like I had to prove that what I do is valid by having some kind of physical outcome from it. Like, like a lot of artists, have had more than enough people tell me, oh man, your job must be so easy. Or like, when are you going to get a real job? That's not real work. And as messed up as it is, I kind of, it in a weird way, it's gratifying to be like, well, if it wasn't real work, would this have happened? Like, it's kind of like proof that I work my ass off. But that's like, and I'm saying this to myself, like, and I'm sorry if it comes off hard. That's stupid. Like, that's a stupid mentality. It's absolutely stupid because it's not worth it just because you can just say like, oh yeah, but I'm definitely a hard worker. Like this goes to show. Like that's so dumb because you're putting yourself at risk, like your health at risk, in order to prove something to someone who doesn't really matter that much anyways. Like the only person that matters is yourself when it comes to your career, like knowing that you're doing it well for yourself, not for other people. But we all fall into that like insecurity sometimes. I absolutely do, and it has real consequences. Like there is a very real possibility like I will have to shift the type of artwork that I do to preserve my wrist in the future. Like I've shifted to a lot of digital work because it puts less strain on my hand than traditional work does. Like doing vector work does less to my hand than painting or inking does. And that's why I want to talk about it because even though I've made choices that weren't great, I also feel like things don't always go the way you planned, but it's never too late to make the changes or start to make the changes to improve it. And I think we kind of owe it to ourselves as people, just for the sake of not burning out by the time we're 35, to ask yourself, like, what's my body telling me right now? And if it's telling me that I need to change something, why am I not listening to it? And so for the sake of this, not just me sitting here talking about like how broken my body is, I am making changes. I already talked to my doctor about this and to one of my friends about it. Like, yeah, obviously for me, step one is taking better care of my wrist and to lose weight. And I feel like I already mentioned this before. Your body's kind of like a system, and when you improve one part of it, it does affect everything. So I'm already thinking like, if I lose weight, like I'm gonna feel better physically. I'll have more energy. Like there's a possibility the exercise will improve my depression. There's a very real possibility that losing the weight will improve my sleep apnea. And if I don't have sleep apnea, I can probably sleep better. And then if I can sleep better, I won't have headaches all day. So it's really good for me to consider that. And I already have me and my friend I already put together a plan for healthy lifestyle changes, just simple stuff. You know, I will do a whole video on like easing yourself into it. That's because it's a journey for me too, like learning how to be more physically healthy. And I'm more than happy to do videos talking about the changes that I'm making and the progress and stuff like that, because it's probably not going to be super easy. It's going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back, like a lot of things are. But knowing that, okay, I can wait the rest of my life and make excuses for doing this to myself, or I can actually make changes and not be completely incapable of like moving by the time I'm 40. So, you know, that, and then the other thing that I mentioned that I have to take care of is taking care of my wrist. This one, so a lot of the stuff I talked about today is for people in general. Like if I feel like across the board, across the career spectrum, a lot of people have this hard like hustle mentality, but this one is specifically for artists or creators or people who work with their hands a lot. Stretch your hand, or like your hands, whatever ones, like your arms, wherever you're putting the most pressure, stretch every single day. Like I don't care if you have to set an alarm or put a thing up on your wall telling you to, or stick it on your bathroom mirror, stretch every day. Like if you're working for an hour, get up for 5 minutes, walk around, stretch. There are a lot of really, really great hand stretches you can do that take a few minutes. You can do them at your desk while you're working. There's one set of them that I do almost every day if I can remember to. I will link that below. It's a really great place to start. So make sure you're like stretching your hands, and make sure you're like taking care of yourself physically. So that one is specifically for artists. Like make sure you're taking care of your most important commodity, because it doesn't matter how hard you work and what great jobs you get. If your hand doesn't work, wasn't really for anything. So yeah. Yeah, that's today's video. I hope it was helpful in the sense that it at least made people more aware of their bodies and kind of the behaviors they might be having. Because I know very well how easy it can become just like a part of your day to day to not be super healthy, and to kind of like let it just become part of your daily life. So I think it's something we need to address, and something we can kind of make small steps to change, because like I mean, I've said this multiple times in this video, it doesn't matter if you like how hard you work to achieve something if you can't keep it up. Like if it's not sustainable, if it's not viable, if you can't make yourself do it beyond your 30s because you're too tired or you're too broken or you're too burnt out. So it's about sustainability and about feeling good, like both physically and mentally. So yeah, let's hear it for tiny changes that lead to big changes, right? I think that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!